right, there we go. So a few quick housekeeping things. My name is Matt Kopek. I'm a council aide in the Ward 3 office, and I'm going to be hosting this session. And we have from the Ward 3 office, Sarah Lanius and Ernesto Portillo. They're going to be helping me along. I know we had kind of a chicken or the egg discussion about what the first session should be. Some people thought we should have a tutorial on Zoom or this. So our next session is going to be a tutorial on Zoom. But in the meantime, if anybody has any technical questions that we can help with, please put them in the chat and Sarah will be able to help you out. And then also, if you have any questions that might not be technically related, go ahead and put them in the chat and Ernesto Portillo will be fielding those, either answering them directly or we'll be get them answered here for you.
Hey, Matt, just really quick before we go on, I just want to make sure for everyone who is joining the call, are you familiar with where the chat feature is? And do you know how to utilize the chat feature? Because I'm sure all of us have different familiarity with Zoom. So would anyone like me? So just in case, at the very bottom of your screen, you should see a menu and there should be an item that says chat. And if you click on it, it will open. You should be able to type in it. If there are folks who are joining us via phone, it might be a little bit clunkier to do that. So if you think you might have any issues with this, you can turn your mute off and let me know, and then I can try and follow up with you offline.
All right, excellent. So thanks everybody for joining us. This is something that we have been talking about for a little while in our the Ward 3 office, and we're excited to get it off the ground and hopefully we'll be able to offer some useful tools and information for you. So the overview of the series, the title we're calling it is Neighborhood Capacity Building in the Time of COVID. So when the pandemic hit, we had to adjust, and now since it's likely with us for a little while, we're going to go from adjusting to adapting. So there are things that is important for neighborhoods and us as the council office, and we need to be able to keep those things moving forward. So some of the other sessions that we plan on covering are Zoom tutorial, as I previously mentioned, email communications, highlights of different social media platforms, Instagram, we will be doing a specific one on Instagram, and then COVID compatible events, and then finally deliberate strategies for inclusivity for your neighborhood. And then so for this session today, we're going to be having some small group breakout sessions and facilitated discussions on a few topics. So if you're able, please go ahead, turn your video on. It's not quite face-to-face, but being able to communicate as best you can with everybody else, that'd be great. And we'll be putting you into breakout rooms pretty quickly as we get this started. So go ahead, once you're in your breakout room, go ahead and pick a note taker / someone who's going to report out. Don't worry, we're not going to be grading this, but just someone to capture all of your thoughts as you guys discuss some of the prompt questions I'm going to be throwing out for you. So for the first prompt question, and this I will give you a little bit more context after you come back from discussing it. I know that doesn't make it might not seem like it makes the most amount of sense, but I think timing it this way, it'll be the most useful going forward. So, and I will put this in the chat after everybody gets out into their breakout rooms. But the first question that I'd like you guys to talk about, and we'll be trying to get you to about 4 people per breakout room. And you'll have about 8 minutes to kind of talk about it. So the first question is, why are you active in your neighborhood? So why are you active in your neighborhood? And then a variation of that is, if you don't consider yourself very active in your neighborhood, but you're still here, you want to learn more. If you don't consider yourself active, why are you wanting to become active? All right. So, really quickly before I break up, does anybody have any quick questions on that? And feel free to, at the moment, go ahead and unmute if you want to ask. All right, perfect.
Oh, what if you came in late?
Oh, yes, no problem. So what we're doing really quick, my name's Matt Kopek. I'm an aide in the Ward 3 office. We have Sarah and Ernesto here. I gave a quick overview of the session and the other subsequent sessions we're planning on having. And what we're doing now is we're going to have a breakout room, and the prompt question is, why are you active in your neighborhood? And after everybody, has a chance to talk about it and discuss, I'll give a little bit more context about why this is our first activity. So we have 20.
So just really quick before that happens, if everyone can, if you've done a breakout room in a Zoom session before, will you raise your hand? Okay, so some of you haven't done these. So what this is going to do, it's going to pull you in to a small group conversation that you'll be able to have with a few others and kind of bounce this question around. And then you will, as often happens, kind of get yanked out of your breakout room back into the big group. So just be prepared for that, when those 8 minutes are up, you will immediately kind of come back. So in addition to the roles of facilitator and note taker, just to make sure that you're able to kind of get through the question, and Ernesto and Matt and I will kind of.
Good. All right, it looks like everybody's back. So thank you all for doing that. So now we'll go ahead and do a really quick, like maybe one minute summary from each group, just to share with the whole gathering here. So quick Zoom note, you can toggle your mute button by the space bar if you're using a computer. So you can unmute yourself temporarily by pressing the space bar. That's a fun fact I learned 8 months into the pandemic. One of those things you wish you could have learned, much earlier. But anyway, so group one was Ariel, Colleen, and Elizabeth. Who would like to share from your group?
Share. So we had quite a few minutes because it was only the three of us, and Elizabeth is actually from Ironwood Ridge, and which is on the west side by Silver Bell and Grant Road and Greasewood. And she is active in her neighborhood. They have a small neighborhood, and they're dealing with some traffic issues, which they're hoping to address this year. And she's lived in her neighborhood. Elizabeth, is it for how many years?
40 some years, yeah, since 1983.
40 some years. And Ariel is actually from Ward 6, and she's wanting to see how this all works. So, and she just recently moved into Glenman Elm neighborhood. So she's new to that and hoping to get involved. And I, of course, am from Jefferson Park neighborhood, very active in it. I'm the president, and I became involved after I retired because I realized I went to one meeting just to see what it was all about, and I realized how much the neighborhood had accomplished with its volunteers. It was just incredible, the things they were able to do. So I thought, well, I better get on board. So that's why I'm active in my neighborhood. And that's it from
Excellent. Thank you.
Breakout Room 1.
All right, next we have group 2, which was Bonnie, Connie, Meredith, and Steve.
Meredith, would you like me to do the summary as note taker? Okay. We had a mix of people, some who were active a long time, some who are new to their neighborhoods, and others who have worked for a period of time on various projects. And I think the take-home message was that we need to be better at engagement in terms of engaging our neighbors. The things that were important as to why we want to get involved is to get to know our neighbors, to work on issues that are of importance to us, to present new and innovative things to the neighborhood and assist in developing them, to build community, and to preserve the character of the neighborhood that you think is important. Does that summarize it? If anybody in the group would like to add something, please do.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Next, we have group 3, which was Carol, Joanne, Molly, and Sarah.
Hi.
Oh, we had, who's reporting?
Oh, I think Sarah as in Sarah Stud. So go ahead, Carol.
Wrong group, sorry. Yep.
Oh yeah, sorry. I thought somebody else was doing it. So there are 2 of us from Mountain First, Sarah and myself, Joanne from Jefferson Park, and then Molly from Arroyo Chico. And Molly said there's not really an active neighborhood association in Arroyo Chico, but she's been involved in some projects, particularly some water harvesting projects that she helps to maintain. She's not as active as she wants to be, but she really likes her neighborhood. Joanne is really, I love Jefferson Park. Jefferson Park is like the the template for us all, if we could all be that way. So Joanne's in Jefferson Park, and they really feel like, Joanne really feels like if you are not involved, you have no right to complain. I mean, it's just like in the politics, right? If you don't vote, you don't have any right to complain. And they became active to protect themselves, specifically when the Grant Road widening started to be planned. Sarah has learned a lot from the Grant Road Coalition, from being participating in that, because our neighborhood is on the other side of Grant Road, on the north side of Grant Road, and learn that if you are active, you can actually have an effect if you have a persistent voice. So you have to keep calling, following up, and making sure that your voice is heard. I personally have lived here for 25-ish years. I raised my son here, and I was not involved in the neighborhood association initially, but now I'm getting a little more involved. And it's important to me because I care about my neighbors, I care about the neighborhood and what happens here. That's it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So our next group is group 4, which was Alice, Ernesto, and William.
Hi. Well, I took the note, so I guess I'll say a little bit, and I'll let Alice, have her say too. I'll attempt to summarize what she said. She got involved initially because of a traffic problem and traffic issues, and then it seemed like now her top priority is to do things that'll be positive for the neighborhood and generate a positive response, and as opposed to negative sort of emotions. And I guess I would say I would sort of like to do anything that would generate a response, or just increase the amount of response that we get, because it's kind of hard to get people to sort of take an interest at all. It seems like we have a lot of renters and so on, but even a lot of longtime residents, it's sort of hard to get them involved. I'd say we have 2 populations, sort of newer and older, and newer ones sort of more involved, maybe. I also mentioned crime in Grant Road. as ongoing. Well, crime certainly is an ongoing issue for us. Grant Road was something that I was involved in a while ago, not so much now. And yeah, so I guess getting a response, getting a positive response, and maybe Alice has more to add. I should say I'm in El Cortez. I'm the president of that neighborhood association. She is in Blendman Elm, president of that neighborhood association.
Excellent.
I think you summarized very well. And I do urge everybody to think about positive projects, because that's really how you want to come together with your neighbors. Although the negative things that happen to you will indeed empower everybody to come together and scream. But what you really want to do for the long term is to be doing positive things. And I think Jefferson Park has been doing an awful lot of very good positive things. And my hat is off to them, because they have empowered their neighbors to be participants.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys. So next we have group 5, which was a dynamic duo of Cindy and Dorothy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Cindy is a transplant from Sedona. She's been in Tucson for a short time and she's loving it. She's very involved with getting back to nature and doing gardening and being open to knowing her neighbors and being involved in the community. I am the president of Brickta neighborhood. I've been here since '86. We became an association when we had traffic problems within our neighborhood. Then we kind of drifted away from being an active association. Then we came back together when we were getting people breaking windshields on vehicles. And then we became very active, and then we kind of died away. And now we're going to start getting active again because we have mail theft. So that's my goal within the next several months, is to get the association back into being a strong, positive reinforcement of neighbors to look out for one another. And that's my report.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And last but not least, group 6, aka the lobby. So that was Sarah, Candace, and Judith.
So I took notes, Candace and Judith, if you want me to share those out. Okay. So we had a great discussion. So Candace is the vice president of the Palo Verde neighborhood, and Judith is kind of a somewhat new, recently returned to Tucson, lives close to Vista del Monte, but is just outside of where there's not an active neighborhood association, but would like to be able to get more active. And some of the things that you both shared that were just amazing is, Candace shared a bit about, how really starting to get involved was mostly through being a co-captain on the Block Watch a long time ago, and then kind of getting regular weekly newsletters. So getting that information from the neighborhood that kind of like drew you into it. And that you have found participation in the neighborhood to be really enjoyable and a really excellent use of your time for the impact that you're able to have. And I thought that was really powerful. You discussed a lot about the positive effect that you have observed having in the neighborhood, and that it has really encouraged you to be a long time committed resident of the neighborhood, which is just awesome. And Judith shared really, just a desire of being kind of more aware of what's going on in the area, kind of being tuned in, and looking to be able to do that through, neighborhood connections. So I think I captured everything, but jump in if you think I left anything out.
I just want to say that using email for the weekly newsletters that come from the neighborhood keeps everyone aware from trash pickups and recycling to how to contact different departments within the city, along with the neighborhood events that we hold. And as a result, we've seen an increase in activity from all of our neighbors. And that's a positive.
I love that you shared that, because we are going to have a session that talks specifically about how you can use newsletters to do exactly what Candace is describing a little later on in the series.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. Both for geographic and reasons of diversity we have here was great. I really enjoyed hearing everyone's perspective about what drew them into being active. So I know we went 0 to 60 real quick on this session with going right into the breakout rooms and sort of a very kind of high level question to start out with. But the reason I wanted to do it that way was because the question I asked is can only be answered by you and your neighbors. So whatever the neighborhood you're facing, and we have from all over the city here tonight, and they're all different and they're all unique and they all have their own character. But whatever you want to move forward with, whether it's email, newsletter, social media, events, only you guys can refer back to why you are interested in your neighborhood as the motivation for what you want to do next. So I wanted you guys to think about that yourself and then hear other people's perspectives on that as the foundation for how we move forward. Because sometimes you might get stuck, things might be frustrating, you might be at a crossroads, whatever that may be, but referring back to why you're there in the first place can be quite helpful, I think. So the going forward from here, we're going to talk about tools and resources, but you have to kind of know why you want to have a tool or a resource to figure out what you want to do. So that's why I wanted to start it like that. So hopefully that'll be useful going forward, both for these sessions and then anything you might do within your own neighborhoods. So thank you for that. One of the things I wanted to let you know is we're shooting this session. We're going for about an hour for this session and the rest of them. So we're about halfway through. The reason we didn't originally put, what we thought the end time would be in the invitations and everything is because we didn't know when we sent it out. But now we do. So I wanted to give you guys kind of a heads up on that, because I know we didn't have an end time, and now that it's in the evening and dinner. So just wanted to give you guys some situational awareness for that. So now going forward, one of the things, so when we talked about what the upcoming sessions are, that is what we in the Ward 3 office thought might be useful. Sarah, Neto, and we had talked about our interactions with the neighborhoods we routinely work with and some of the issues that they faced. And these are some of the things that we thought were of interest. But one of the things that I've found over the years is that if you're trying to help or provide help, it's useful to ask what people would like. So in that spirit, I would like to do a poll really quick on the sessions that we have. Uh-oh, technical error. Sarah or Ernesto, can you pull up the poll at the bottom of your toolbar at the bottom of the screen? Because it says someone else has logged in. So apologies, technical difficulty there, but I suppose that was to be expected.
It doesn't want to let me do it. Neto, are you able to?
No.
Ha
Oh,
wait a minute. Is it up?
The poll just appeared.
Okay,
Yeah, it
great.
was.
All right, thank you, Neto.
I saved the meeting.
Thank you. Yes.
We've been joking for a couple weeks that like trying to really help make all of these digital tools more accessible to everyone is also a process of co-learning for us as we're like trying to kind of get much more comfortable with it. So you will maybe observe that periodically through the series. Just heads up.
All right, and I think you're should be able to choose more than one.
Right.
Yes, you can. I
Mhm.
just did it.
Good.
I just did it and I did all 6 because I think they're all
Ah.
fabulous
Go
topics.
Alice.
They are.
Okay, if you've
That's
had
weird. Mine were show.
if you've had a chance to fill out the poll, go ahead and give a thumbs up.
Mine showed the poll showed up and then it disappeared.
So I don't know how to fix that. But we will have a subsequent breakout session to talk about it. So your input will not be lost. Okay, Neto,
I
if
could also
every
put it in the chat. I'm sorry. I could also put it in the chat for Connie, the topics.
if that's possible, yeah, that would be great. All right, so Neto, if you could go ahead and close the poll and display the results.
Okay.
Oh, and the poll was anonymous. I set it to anonymous, so don't feel bad. I probably should have said that before you voted, but
Do you see the results?
so it looks like everybody but me and Sarah.
And me.
So Neto, could you share really quickly for Sarah and I what the results were?
Oh, it doesn't show up?
No, I cannot see it.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
If you give screen sharing to somebody who's not one of you guys, then somebody else could show it. I'm willing to if you like.
Yeah, you know what, Neto, if you can just write it down, you can tell us later, right, Matt?
Or we can just, one of us can just tell you.
Perfect.
33% Zoom, 53% social media overview, 47% of email communication, 4% Instagram, 80% event COVID safe, and the last one, 73% inclusivity.
Great.
Thank you.
Excellent. So now, thank you so much for letting us know that. And so now we'll have another 8-minute breakout session for this question, which is.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is it possible that we could talk about some of our concerns and try to see how the city can help us out?
Yeah.
Could that
So. Yeah. So my so for this, the next prompt was sort of in that vein, which was, what do you hope to accomplish with this series? And then, did the poll miss anything? Like, was there a topic that we did not give an option for that you guys are really interested? So I think, so please share that, and we'll report back out. But keep in mind, so this session is also kind of helpful for us because we want to make sure what we're going to be working on is actually useful for folks. So so that was one of the goals we had. So I apologize for not being super clear about that at the beginning of today when we started. So does anybody have any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started, we did not introduce ourselves to each other, nor did we in our names put what area we were from, like, so that we as a group can connect with one another. So that may be something you may want to think about when you first start. a Zoom meeting is to introduce everybody so that we can feel as a group.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. We can do that now if you'd like. So I can, I'll just call on people from my screen going right to left, which probably won't be the same for you guys. So the first person is Candace. You could just go your name and the neighborhood you're from.
Candace Philippek, and I'm with Palo Verde neighborhood.
Thank you. Next person is Judith.
I don't have a neighborhood. I'm the one who lives outside the boundaries.
Gotcha. So what's maybe like your major cross streets?
Glen and Columbus.
Gotcha. Excellent. Thank you. Next we have Alice.
Unmute. Okay, I just figured out how to rename myself, so I added in Blenman Elm, but it doesn't quite fit in this little screen view that I have. So there were 3 little dots up by my name, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, and that will be included in the Zoom tutorial.
Ah, terrific.
And then next we have Ariel.
Hi everyone, I am Ariel Fry. I'm a council aide at Ward 6 wanting to observe this awesome session, and I live in the Blenman Elm neighborhood.
Next, William.
Hi, I'm from William Nelson. I live in El Cortez neighborhood, which is at Grant and Euclid, roughly. I'm a neighborhood association president as of 3 years, and yep, that's me.
Excellent, thank you. Dorothy?
I am Dorothy Yanez. I'm born and raised in Tucson. I live in the Brookton neighborhood, which is like Speedway to Rainbow Ridge and Silver Bell to Greasewood.
Excellent. Cindy?
Hi, Cindy Hauserman, very new to Sugar Hill. Live right below Mansfield Park.
Excellent. All right, next is Connie.
Hey, I'm Connie Seymour, and I live in the Santa Cruz neighborhood. It's on Mission Road between Silver Lake and Ajo Way.
Excellent. Next we have Molly.
Yeah, I'm Molly Collins. I live in the Arroyo Chico neighborhood. I'm between Tucson and Country Club and south of 18th.
Excellent. All right, Joanne, you're next.
I'm Joanne, and I'm from Jefferson Park Neighborhood Association. I've been here about 25 years.
Awesome. All right, Meredith, you're up.
Yeah, Meredith Aronson, Broadmoor, Broadway Village, just north of where Molly is oriented near Arroyo Chico.
Awesome. Bonnie?
I'm with Campus Farm neighborhood. We're up near Campbell on the River where the Campus Farm is. And I'm also with Tucson Residents for Responsive Government, or TRIG.
Thank you. All right, Steve, live from the beach. Steve, I think you might be muted.
Yeah, I'm Broadmoor, Broadway Village neighborhood, and I've been here 20 years. And I'm trying to be a little more active. I've always been very much a passive person, making an effort to break out.
Excellent. Well, welcome. All right, Colleen.
Hi, Colleen Nichols from Jefferson Park neighborhood. I'm currently the president. Jefferson Park is about 5 blocks north of the university, and we are Campbell to Euclid. So we are right in the center of activity, let's put it that way. And I've lived in the neighborhood actually for 43 years.
Oh, wow. All right, Carol?
Carol Schneiderman, Mountain First. I tried to put mine in there, but it doesn't fit either. So I'm in good company.
And finally, Sarah.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sarah, also Mountain First, currently president and lived in the neighborhood going on 20 years now, which has sort of crept up on me. So nice to be here, y'all.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for the suggestion, Dorothy. That was a good idea. I just did not put that. I omitted that in my script that I wrote for this. So that was a pretty. That was an oversight on my part. So thank you for catching it. All right. So now we'll go ahead and do that breakout room. I'll go ahead right now and put in the chat the question, just so everyone has it. What do you hope to accomplish with this series of neighborhood sessions? And then did the poll miss anything? Is there any topic that we might have just not thought of that you think would be really helpful for you? So go ahead and talk about that in your group, bounce ideas off each other, and then we'll do the same thing where we will report back. So let's see if I can get this to work one more time. Hello, welcome back. Everybody seems to be using as much time as they can. It's been a good topic.
Ariel, I love your backdrop. Excellent picture.
Thanks. I just put it in. It's the U of A
Poetry
Poetry
Center.
Center.
Yeah,
One of my favorite buildings.
Yes.
gorgeous building. Which brings up my suggestion, Matt. I should have brought this up earlier. We should have a contest. Who has the best virtual background?
Right. That's something we can include in the Zoom session. Excellent.
Ariel,
Well,
is your background real? Is that a real library?
That's
Yes.
just my bookshelves behind me. Some of my bookshelves.
The UA Poetry Center.
Oh, I thought it looked familiar.
So
Okay,
it's
cool.
real.
Has one of the largest collections of poetry books and assorted publications in the U.S. It's a major center.
Excellent.
I'm here to promote it.
Sarah's in the Aurora Borealis, which is pretty cool.
There's some good backgrounds we got.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, welcome back, everybody. It looks like people took most of the groups took most of the time, the extra 60 seconds. So hopefully it was a good and fruitful discussion. As we report out, I know my colleagues from the Ward 3 office will probably be pulling a little bit of double duty now because they'll be taking copious notes, I'm sure, of what folks had to say. So, all right, let's get started with the group one, which was Carol, Cindy, Joanne, and Meredith.
I took the notes for us. What we'd like to accomplish, Carol mentioned that she's hoping to learn more about social media. Right now, her neighborhood works. A lot of people are using Nextdoor, and they have their email listserv, although the email list is apparently a closely guarded secret. Carol, she's looking for more engagement, has no idea really what Instagram is or how it works, what it does. And she's hoping to learn more from the more active groups, some what people are working on in other groups. Meredith is hoping that we can bring people together to talk about good practices, things that are already happening, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel there. We can have start engaging with, open it up a little bit more to bring more people in to explain what they're doing, what's working, and is hoping for more than just the how-tos, the nuts and bolts of things, a little more colorful picture of things. And Joanne wants to get more information, find out, how to really problem solve, and get to know the mechanisms to actually get things done, and to find out, on projects people, other neighborhoods have worked on, to know what has worked and what hasn't worked, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel and learn from others' mistakes. And is looking for more engagement from the neighborhood. And then I was just saying, I'm just glad to be here.
We're
Just
glad you're
engaging
here.
with people. Yeah, but actually, Sugar Hill, we have a pretty active Instagram. We have been inspired a lot by Feldman's, and meeting on the street, collaborating together on projects now, and hoping to bring El Cortez in with that too. But we're pretty active on Instagram now with this new turnover of the officers. And we have a great listserv. Leona does a great job with our email. So we just are looking to we're focusing on climate resiliency and how we can add shade and protect our resources here in Sugar Hill.
Matt, can I add to Cindy? Cindy's a wonderful example of someone who just moved into the neighborhood and immediately hit the ground running, involving herself in neighborhood association, bringing energy, ideas, and more ideas. So thank you, Cindy.
Excellent. And one of the points which that reminded me is one of the things we're going to try to do with these series for the topics that we've identified is some of the presenters we're planning on presenting is folks from neighborhoods who have done that. So it's kind of a peer-to-peer thing, which is, hopefully is the most useful since, it's a lived experience. So yeah, absolutely. All right, so group 2 was Connie, Judith, Saralanius, and William.
So I took notes that I'm happy to share if the teammates are okay with that. So there was a lot of interest in kind of learning how other neighborhoods most effectively utilize newsletters, and especially thinking about kind of a shorter weekly newsletter option, as well as just, taking from the series more tools to engage people. And also, having an opportunity to think about, effective events. And Will was really adamant to say, like, COVID won't be here forever. So we don't want it to be overly focused on COVID, but also just thinking about how do we have kind of regular, activities that allow for neighbors to kind of plug in and get involved. And then one of the kind of areas where there was a suggestion that we add in to the series is for the item on Instagram to specifically spend some time talking about kind of the ethics of in the neighborhood, and so we'll make sure to add that in. I think I got everything, but Connie, Will, Judith, hop in if I missed anything.
Sounds about right to me.
Excellent. All right, next up, group 3, Alice, Candace, Molly, and Steve.
I didn't take any notes. Did anyone from that group take notes?
I took a few notes, but
Okay.
mostly because this was what I was interested in, was the digital newsletters and how do you accomplish them, and how do you handle them. And Candace, I really appreciate what you have in Palo Verde there and talking about that. And I believe that Molly and Steve were more just being engaged. Is that correct? Did I have that more or less correct, that you were newer to your neighborhoods and some of us been around forever and ever? So anyway, I think that's what we were talking about, is using, how do we get more people to be engaged in our neighborhoods? So I'm hoping the series is going to really let us engage more people in more ways. And as an editorial comment, I think that this time of COVID should be considered an opportunity as opposed to a wet blanket.
Mhm.
So, because we're all learning about Zoom, we're learning about digital, and digital, this is so much more inclusive because people don't have to come out. It's great.
Yes.
Excellent. That's very true. And hopefully most, 90% of the stuff we'll talk about and go over will be useful beyond COVID. So, all right. Group 4, which was Dorothy, Neto, and Sarah.
I'm the note taker. As I was with Sarah, the other Sarah, and Dorothy. Sarah is from Mountain First, and Dorothy from Brickta neighborhood, which is my neighborhood as well. Both said that they are looking forward to learning from others, learning from other neighborhoods on what they are doing, how they are doing it in effective ways. They want to learn from each other, make those connections with other communities in a meaningful way, how to be more inclusive. Something was mentioned a moment ago. And for Dorothy's more specific case, she's trying to re-energize the Brickta Neighborhood Association, and she uses the next door neighbor, but she's looking for other ways on how to reach her neighbors without having to go door to door. But again, networking is a very principal objective for both Sarah and Dorothy. Did I capture that right, Sarah and Dorothy? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think, just beyond the specific topics, it's nice to have a place where we can all talk to each other. And I sort of miss the get-togethers I had when I was involved with Grant Road Coalition. It was a very powerful group of people, and we learned a lot from just simply talking to each other. So yes, reiterating. Thank you, Ernesto.
Thank you, Sarah.
Excellent. And then group 5, the last group, was the troika of Ariel, Bonnie, and Colleen.
Bonnie, you want to talk or?
Sure, I'll talk. I think what we came up with has already been mentioned by a number of the other groups, but I think that the need for better communications, a lot of us have some knowledge about certain ways to communicate with each other, but we're very deficient in other ways. Instagram came up as an example of something that a number of us would like to learn. Learning what other neighborhoods are doing in terms of getting their membership out, getting information to them, getting feedback from them on various issues, and the idea of how do we increase inclusivity? How do we reach people who normally aren't coming to meetings? As Alice mentioned, this is a way for people who can't get out or aren't wanting to get out after dark, for example, to be able to participate, but other ways of including people who maybe are on the edge right now, who are worried about so many other things, and yet perhaps community could help them. So I think it's all things that we've covered in other groups. But.
Excellent. All right. Well, that will give us, from everybody, that will give us plenty to work on as we move forward with these sessions. So thanks so much. A couple quick things as we wrap up. First of all, is thank you so much for giving us your time this evening and bearing with us. This is the first time we've ever tried to do anything like this, and it's a learning process. So thank you for being patient and being willing to take this adventure with us. So I am going to paste into the chat the link for the next session, which is the Zoom tutorial, which will be the second week of November. I believe it's Thursday, November 12th, same time. And then I'm also putting in the chat my email. So if anybody has any questions, any follow-up, something you wish you go to bed tonight and you think of something you really wanted to say or share, please let me know. All feedback in this, journey is appreciated. So Sarah wanted to make one announcement on P-Chip, and then we'll do one more thing before we wrap up.
I have one question. Will
Yes,
it be the same type in number to get the Zoom number, or will it be a new Zoom number?
It will be a new one. So so go ahead and register, and then you'll get a confirmation email, and also make sure you get another one the day before the event. So.
Will you be sending out the invitation email?
I'm sorry,
Say
Joanne?
that again, Joanne?
Will you be doing an invitation email with the number as well?
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
In addition to the one in chat. So you'll have one on email that we can register with. And
Yes, we can send a follow-up email to everyone who registered for this session with that link. And it will also it will also be in the Ward 3 newsletter, which comes out on Fridays, which you can also subscribe to for kind of ongoing registration options for the series as well.
Thank you.
And I would just say too, if you have anyone in your neighborhood who's really been struggling to connect to neighborhood meetings over Zoom, this next one might actually be a really helpful tool, but we'll also be providing some of the kind of bells and whistles that might be helpful to any of you who are facilitating those meetings. So like the polls that we just did and the breakout rooms and things along those lines, as well as just kind of standard meeting facilitation, best practices, that sort of thing.
Exactly, Sarah, the P-Chip?
Yes, P-Chip. Matt, I think, were you going to plug something into the chat for that?
No, I thought you're going to make an announcement.
Yeah. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, the city of Tucson is hosting the second of two initial conversations around a planning process that our Housing and Community Development department is beginning. We are referring to it as the P-CHIP. It stands for People, Communities, and Homes Investment Plan. And the reason for this is really to kind of help thread the needle, if you will, connect all the dots on a lot of different plans that the city is engaged in that in really important ways like impact the quality of life for Tucsonans, and to actually provide an opportunity to get some kind of overarching direction in how those different funding streams should be kind of oriented to achieve the goals of residents. So I plugged in a link to the P-CHIP website in the chat, which will also take you to information for the meeting tomorrow and registration opportunities for that if you're interested in participating. There will be other discussions and some survey instruments that will be coming forward from that. So if you're not available tomorrow, there will be other opportunities to engage. And again, the Ward 3 newsletter is a really great way to find out about those. If you also read the Ward 6 newsletter, which I'm sure many of you do, I would anticipate that will also be a really great resource for following the process.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. And then the last thing we'll do, I'm going to have to ask Neto to do it again. We should have one last poll. Neto, if you could do that. It's under evaluation, which the title kind of gives it away what the topic is. So,
Matt, I'm not seeing it. Let me see.
okay. Then Sarah, it might be
Um,
under yours if Neto doesn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, doesn't come up.
We just got, oh, it went away. We're seeing the poll results from an earlier
first
one.
poll.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's here. It's here.
It was here and now it's gone.
It went away.
That was the old poll.
It's back.
Gotcha. All right, Sarah, you're muted.
I'm
It's
seeing the
the
old
It's
poll.
the old poll. I
That's the
can't
old
find
poll.
the new poll.
I can't access the second poll.
Ah, there we go. I got it. Okay, so that should be up for everyone. Excellent.
Yeah. So thank you. And this one, I created it as anonymous, so I, you know, feel free to be honest. But yeah, so thank you all for coming. Once you've completed the poll, you're free to go. You know, if there's
If
any
you
other,
if you want to hang around and give us any more feedback, we'll be around for a minute.
Everybody be well, stay well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.